Hey there, everybody. Richard Fulmer here. So, what I thought I'd do this episode, and might do it a couple of times going forward, every so often, is show you guys what I've been listening to over the past couple of weeks. Um, where my music tastes take me in the evenings or whatever, and I'll just chat about the albums. The ones that I've been listening to lately have all been vinyl. I've been really getting back into my vinyl side of things. I haven't listened to CDs in ages. I don't know. There's just something about vinyl, the warmth of the sound, and don't quote me on that. I know there's a lot of debate about you know, the sound quality of CD versus vinyl. It's just a format that I prefer, especially looking at the record. Reading the lyrics and all the rest of it. You just don't. I don't get that same vibe with CDs. Sometimes they are nice to listen to, much easier to handle. You don't have to turn the thing over, all the rest of it. But hey, it's just me. So yeah, it's a really cold and wet day here in Cape Town. Looks like winter's decided to come back for round two. We are supposed to be heading off into summer now, the spring, summer. But yeah, I won't be going outside, and the dog will have to wait for its walk today. So let's get cracking. It's not going to be a very long video. I just want to quickly show you what I've been listening to. And this was very kindly given to me on my 60th last year. Was it last year? No, year before. No, last year. It was last year. Years just go flying by. A friend of mine, Mark van Niekerk, gave me this very kindly as a birthday gift. Pink Floyd's Saucer Full of Secrets, with that hypnosis cover there. Actually, just finished watching a really cool documentary on hypnosis and how they got started and all the rest of it. Very interesting. It's available to download. So this isn't a gatefold. I'm not sure if this was originally a gatefold. I don't think so. So there's just the vinyl inside. And this was, for me, kind of the bridge between the Sid Barrett era and the David Gilmour. David Gilmour was on this album, and I think Sid only appears on one track, or he wrote one of the tracks on here, Jug Band Blues, which is the last track on the album. There's only 7 tracks on here. The ones to check out for are Let's Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. That's a Roger Waters track. Corporal Clegg. Strange track, that. Very sort of quirky, real English kind of thing. Let There Be More Light. Remember a Day. The title track, A Saucer Full of Secrets, which is really cool. That's written by Roger Waters, Rick Wright, Nick Mason, and David Gilmour. Seesaw, which is a Richard Wright track, and then Jug Band Blues, like I mentioned, the Sid Barrett track. I'm not sure if he actually plays on that track, but I think at this stage he was pretty much out of the band, and David Gilmour was the new boy on the block. That's the back cover there. And there's a very small picture of the band, and they insisted that there be a picture of them somewhere in this sort of montage that Hypnosis put together. So there we go, Pink Floyd, Saucer Full of Secrets. Then I listened to this one again. Yes, Drama, the only album to feature Trevor Horn as the lead vocalist, who would go on to produce their next album, 90125. Of course, that's with Trevor Rabin. But here he was the lead singer. Not a bad singer, very similar to John Anderson in many ways. That great Roger Dean cover. There's a great picture of the band inside. I think that's Trevor Horn over there. That's the drummer. I can't think of his name now. Chris Squire, Steve Howe, and that's the keyboardist. I'm going to have to look at names here. Jeff Downs, Alan White, that's the drummer's name. So yeah, fairly good lineup. 6 tracks, quite lengthy tracks. Machine Messiah is the big one on this track. Very bright production, Trevor Horn production. And really worth checking out. If you're into Yes, or sort of later Yes, very different to the early sort of Bill Bruford, Rick Wakeman era. A lot more of its time. I think this came out in either 80 or 1980. Yeah, so it had that sort of bright 80s sound. Then I listened to the first, I think this was his first solo album. He's drummed for so many other people. Simon Phillips, the great Simon Phillips, and he released an album called Protocol. I think he's since released 4 Protocol albums. Produced by Simon Phillips. He plays all the instruments on here besides the drums. 6 tracks. This is a 45 RPM, not a 33. Streetwise, Red Rocks, Protocol, Slow Funk, V8 and Wall Street. Excellent drumming, as you get, come to expect from Simon Phillips. And there's a really cool picture inside of his drum kit. There he is, very young Simon Phillips. He's aged quite a bit since then. I mean, this was released in, what year was this? Of course it won't tell me. 1988. So yeah, quite a while back. And how's that cool kit? I mean, one of the many kits that he's had over the years. Of course, he gets endorsed by all sorts of drum companies. But amazing drumming. Really well produced as well. Great sound. So if you're into that kind of instrumental funk, progressive rock, Protocol, one to check out. Then I recently did a show on 40-year-old albums. One of them was Robert Plant, and that got me listening to this album, Now and Then, one of his better solo albums. This was also in the 80s, also 88. The big hit off this one, I think, was Ship of Fools, very slow ballad type track. Great vocals. There's a few tracks on here which have a kind of a Zeppelin feel, but it's more of the 80s. A lot of synths, a lot of keyboards. White, Clean and Neat. Heaven Knows is a cool track. Dance on My Own. So let's see if there's anything I can show you inside. Not really. It's just a picture of some flags, and there's old Bob himself, Robert Plant. Recently turned 75, I think. 75 or 76. Everybody's having birthdays these days, getting older. Then the next one we're going to check out is a band that I only got into late in life. I was never really into the brass side of things, being a metalhead that I used to be. The first 8 or 9 albums of this band for me are essential, only not because of the great music they made, but also because some of the members in the band at that stage, and the main one for me being Terry Kath, the guitarist of Chicago. And there's a great shot of the lineup there. See if there's anything I can show you inside. There's another shot of the guys. So this is early Chicago, very different to what they would later become, very commercial, a lot of ballads, and when Peter Cetera started to take over. I mean, if you listen to Peter Cetera in this, great singer, amazing bassist. I think the problem was when David Foster got involved with Chicago later on and as the producer, and him and Peter Cetera took them in a whole different direction. But for me, this is the true Chicago. Great brass work, excellent guitar work from Terry Kath, whole band's on fire, especially some of the live stuff as well from around this era. So this is just called Chicago 6. A lot of the early albums just had numbers. Really excellent stuff. Right. Steve Winwood, Arc of a Diver. For me, probably his best solo album. Spanish Dancer, Night Train, While You See a Chance, Arc of a Diver, the title track, Secondhand Woman, Slow Down, Sundown. Just well produced. Steve Winwood is such a talented guy. Guitar, keyboard, you name it, Steve Winwood can do it. I don't think there's anything I can show you in the inside, no. And of course he was with the Spencer Davis Group, and then he made quite a few albums with the band Traffic, and a big solo career. But this is one of his early hit albums, solo albums, and obviously well produced. Some really nice guitar work on here. Also, I suppose, kind of its time. This would be the 80s as well, I think. Or is this the 70s? It might be it's 1980. Yeah. Music started to get a different sound then in the 80s. A lot of it I didn't go for, especially the drum sounds, but this one is worth checking out. Arc of a Diver. And that was because I was listening to this album by Traffic. When the Eagle Flies. I love that cover there, that pencil drawing. Very different Traffic to the early stuff, a lot more jazzy. My favorite track on here is Dream Gerard and Graveyard People. Stunning track, very almost atmospheric. It just takes you away. Quite a lengthy track, that's 6 minutes, and Dream Gerard is 11 minutes. So there's not many tracks in here. I think there's only about 7 tracks on here. Most of it written by Steve Winwood and Jim Capaldi. And I think there's a small picture inside. There's the lyrics, a couple of more pencil drawings. Really cool album. Always liked Traffic, no matter which style they were doing. Excellent band. And the last one we're going to check out is this one from Queensryche, a modern day, latter day sort of progressive rock metal, that kind of thing. And this was their big concept album that shot them into superstardom. Still had Jeff Tate as their vocalist, who obviously since left. And yeah, this album is just a classic. Well produced. Some of the great tracks on here. I Remember Now, Revolution Calling, that was a big hit. The title track, Operation Mindcrime. I don't know if I mentioned, that's the name of the album. Spreading the Disease, Sweet Sister Mary, The Needle Lies, Electric Requiem. Excellent guitar work on here. I'm trying to think of the guitarist's name. See if I can get to it quickly. There's a shot of the guys with their 80s permed hair. Yeah, it's not going to give me the names, is it? Chris DiGiamo, electric 8-string acoustic, Jeff Tate, Michael Wilton, Eddie Jackson, and Scott Rockenfield. He was the other guitarist. Excellent stuff. Play it loud, because that's the way it's meant to be played. Very atmospheric in parts. A lot of talking in between tracks, just sets the scene. A classic. There we go, just a quick look at what I've been listening to of late. There'll be a couple more of these going forward, just to keep you guys informed as to what yours truly is listening to. I'll catch you again soon for another episode of some 40-year-old albums, probably our last one for a while, and then we'll go on to something else. Have yourselves a great week. Hope it clears up here. Cheers.